Howdy, folks. Tonight, I want to talk to you guys about Garth Brooks. And I didn't really want to shoot from the hip and just improv it. Just give you an intro like I normally do. No, I thought I'd give this a little more justice. So I took this little crappy notepad out. This little thing right here. Yep. You see it. It's tiny. And I wrote an intro. I'm going to read this, and then we're going to start the episode, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and in a pathetic attempt to avoid cancellation, greedy Garth Brooks takes the paycheck, gives us the bird, and breaks bread with his friends in low places. This, my friends, is the only reality, unless Garth is really that out of touch. Either way, he basically just canceled himself, folks, and that's what we're going to talk about on the show next. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and looking at this picture of Garth Brooks peering off into the distance. Dark eyes, black, lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. Sorry, I just watched Jaws. Garth Brooks is staring off into the distance in this picture, and it's absolutely terrifying. It's disturbing. It is not pleasant to look at. In fact, while I'm looking at him, part of me is crying inside. I'm paralyzed by fear because Garth Brooks seriously looks like he wants to eat a child. I'm doing everything in my power to not laugh terribly right now. But seriously, if you're not listening, if you're watching on Rumble or another non-YouTube source or YouTube. YouTube's been cutting my distribution. Sorry, I'm pissed off with them. Look at this picture that we're looking at right now. Garth Brooks, black cowboy hat, large belt buckle, which is okay. I like a belt buckle. I wear cowboy boots. He looks as if marching off from conquest, staring off as the T-Rex looks upon the goat from Jurassic Park during the rainstorm, wanting to swallow something in its entirety. I would think he would have to dislodge his lower jaw for that. And with the looks of the width of his face, it is most likely a possibility. Folks, Warner Todd Huston, you like that segue right there? Warner Todd Huston wrote this article, Garth Brooks to perform at Biden Inauguration. It's not political. It's about unity, folks. Unity, ladies and gentlemen. Garth Brooks' mere statement that it isn't political makes it political, folks. Garthy. I don't think you realized that by trying to pander to Lord Biden and avoid cancellation, you inadvertently canceled yourself. Very stupid. Very stupid. Well, what can you do? You know, I did see a Tom Segura episode. I think it was Your Mom's House podcast a while back. And we don't agree with them politically, but they are Americans. They have the right to their own political opinions. But sometimes their comedy can be humorous, though I do caution you. They are very, very mature, very adult, very 18 plus. Don't go looking up that comedy if you have kids in the room. But they did a whole segment where they did nothing but trash talk Garth Brooks about how he's completely unnatural connecting with the social media world, and it's just not his thing. He's an old school type of musician that has a barrier, a force field almost between him and the fans. And now that They're up close and personal. They're seeing the kind of ugly person that he actually is. And that's really nice, what I'm saying, compared to what they said on that other podcast about him. Yeah. And then what was really ridiculous is that all the fans of that podcast had to go, they didn't have to, but they did. They went to Garth Brooks' pages and they started harassing Garth Brooks. That was actually pretty funny. That was Your Mom's House podcast, Tom Segura and Christina Pazinski. They're pretty funny guys, but I do warn you, very, very adult-based comedy. All right. Very adult based comedy, and their political leanings aren't necessarily to the right. I'm going to warn you there, but I'll tell you, they are still old school type comedy, the good stuff. And as Candace Owens says, comedy is comedy. People are allowed to make fun of other people in comedy. That stuff shouldn't matter. We should have thick skin to comedians. So don't get mad at me for recommending them. I have tastes all over the spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get into this article. I think it's important that you know what Garth Brooks is doing and why it's ridiculous and hypocritical in nature, very self-serving and completely idiotic. By the way, do you guys like my Walmart hoodie shirt? I've had this thing for like 2 years and it really looks ridiculous, but I'll tell you what, it's so soft. It's the softest. Anyway, folks, listen, joining the likes of Lady Gaga, that's a hell of a segue, isn't it? From so soft to joining the likes of Lady Gaga, Bruce Springsteen and John Legend is country megastar Garth Brooks, who has announced that he'll be performing at Joe Biden's inaugural events this week, claiming that his decision isn't political, which makes it political, obviously. The Friends in Low Places crooner, I have that highlighted because I had to look up the word. Crooner basically means like a singer with a smooth voice. It's like an old term. Warner Todd Huston, I appreciate it, but you didn't have to dig up that word out of the dictionary. You could have just said the Friends in Low Places, a singer, though I do appreciate your effort. Spoke to reporters about his participation in Biden's festivities, but he insisted that he does not mean to be seen as a Biden supporter. This isn't a political statement. This is a statement of unity, Brooks said, according to ETO Online. This is kind of how I get to serve my country. Garth Brooks added that performing for presidents is a personal tradition. You know, I've played for every president there is since Carter, with the exception of Reagan. This is an honor for me to get to serve. And it's one of the things that, if my family's around, no matter who the president-elect is, it's an honor to be asked, Brooks added. So that means they asked him and he said yes, I guess. But regardless, I just don't feel like Garth should have agreed to this. I think that he puts his fans in a very awkward place. I think that because of the world that he lives in, his class status. Come on, guys. The amount of money that Garth Brooks has, he lives in a universe, in a world that we can only imagine. And that world, I'm sorry to say, and it's true, and nothing against Garth, as ridiculous and short-sighted and out of touch as he is. Well, that might be a little offensive, but whatever. He doesn't know what's going on. He's insulated. He's padded. They don't see what actually is happening. The tyranny, the totalitarianism, the assault on our First Amendment freedoms, ladies and gentlemen, our rights, our God-given rights. We have the right to say something, to speak up, to peacefully assemble, to peacefully speak up and talk back and say no. This is a country of individual liberties. Not a country of majority rule or tyranny, a country of individual liberties. So, Garth, you're pissing, pardon my language, ladies and gentlemen. If you have children in the room, please cover their ears slightly. Say earmuffs to yourself while you do it. Earmuffs like that. You'll feel much better about it. It's humorous. It's cute. It's fun. And then I'll say it again. Garth Brooks, you're pissing on your fans because your ignorance, if that's what it is, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. If that's what it is, your ignorance reflects upon the people that like your music. People look up to you. They like you. And they expect you to be somewhat intelligent with your choices. Garth, very dumb. I might be the only Republican at this place. You don't even know what Republican means. You can go ask Bill Barr about Republican. Go sit with the rhinos. Go graze with the rhinos for a bit, sir, while I keep reading this article. But it's about reaching across and loving one another. He wants to reach through, he wants to reach across, and he wants to love you. Look at that face again. Garth Brooks says he wants to reach across. You see that face? Look at it. Focus. Focus on Garth's gaze. He wants to reach through the computer and love you, folks. Garth Brooks is a creepy, creepy man. The Grammy winner was also asked about his thoughts on the January 6th Capitol incursion, an incident that Brooks called disturbing. I'm going to first say it again. I'm going to say it again and again and again and again till it gets through everybody's head, till you know that it's what I mean, it's true, it's factual. And so that whenever the FBI decides to listen to my podcast, they realize that we're trying to do this the right way, the peaceful way, through hearts and minds, the political process, not through violence. So we here at the American Reveille condemn every and all acts of violence that took place on the 6th. We also condemn every single act of violence that took place before that with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. But we also highly, strongly, and to the maximum extent condemn everything that happened on the 6th. We also recognize that was a tiny percentage of numbskulls, of people, of troglodytes that literally infiltrated. All right. Not infiltrated like it was just the left, but far right idiots were there too. Not far right like, normal far right people. I mean, far right extremist burn the country down type people. They infiltrated as well. The majority of people in Washington, and Washington's a big city, folks, peaceful, hundreds of thousands of peaceful, kind people. A couple hundred idiots decided to literally perform some sort of militant action on the 6th with whatever intention they had, unbeknownst to me. Regardless, what I keep telling these people that are talking to me and trying to tell me that I'm wrong for talking against violence, I try to tell them, go stand in front of a tank and tell me how that goes for you. It's a mass political process, a mass persuasion process, a mass amount of people pushing the culture in a certain direction that makes change. And you can't do that with violence. It never ends well for anyone. Doing nothing is wrong too. But you have to do it right. You have to do it legally, ladies and gentlemen. So I put that disclaimer out there. I'm saying it. I'm done. But what I'm going to tell you is that every celebrity now has to have an opinion. Every celebrity's got to put his thing out there. This further proves my theory that Garth Brooks is trying to just do whatever he can to pander, make a check, and avoid cancellation. He's trying to use his basically, listen, his influence is for sale. Biden's trying to use Garth to win over Republicans. And then he's going to give everybody else $1,400 checks as hush money. Here, take this money, shut the F up. Shut up. Let me go back. Do you really listen? He wants to keep lining his pockets. He wants to go back to the Biden China Express. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he wants to go back to the Biden crime family money fiesta extravaganza, ladies and gentlemen, without fear of anybody investigating them or anything like that. That's all he wants. So he's going to do what he has to do. He's going to pay you off. He's going to pander to everybody, and he's going to enjoy his moment in the sun. That's what's going to happen. But Garth, you're being used willingly, unwillingly, whatever. Those big greenbacks, those big bucks, those C notes. Not a great decision, Garth. Not a great decision. We respected you, and it's not really cool because the way you virtue signal it, the way you put it out there, it's a big publicity stunt. We're awake now. We're all awake. We're all awake. That's what happened. That's the MAGA movement. And we see the BS now. We see the strings attached to the puppets. That's what happened. So don't think for a minute that socialism's taking over tomorrow. Too much of us are looking at the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. Let's hear what Garth had to say about the 6th. It was disturbing. It was sad. Try to remember that we, the human race, so I'm always going to find sunny sides in there. The fact that we do make choices very much on the spur of the moment. I deal in music. I deal in raw emotion. That's what music is all about. And all that passion, guided, misguided as it is, what the hell is he talking about? Come on, Garth. I think that you saw the human race at a time that, for me, as a person, seemed to reflect some other country's deadline. If that makes any sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. I get it. Yeah, you're trying to say that it didn't feel like America. I get it. Well, Garth, you're not going to understand. You're not going to get it because you don't have to pay attention. That's the luxury that you have. You don't have to actually pay attention to what happened. Plain and simple. All right. But it's here. This is me continuing to read this. And all I can do is beg and plead for everybody to take a second, that moment, take a breath and think about it. Think about your family. Think about what the mark you're going to leave on this planet as a human being and the children you raise, and then make your decision. A lot of people do. A lot of people are thinking that. A lot of people don't want their kids growing up in a socialist, communist, eventually. Well, socialism becomes communism. They don't want their kids growing up in a police state with jackboots on their throats, snitching on their parents, friends, and families, and upsetting the truth police. Folks, Garth is saying all those sweet words, and I agree. And by the way, I'm not making fun of people with Southern accents. I don't want you to think that. Just Garth talks in a Southern accent. I like to do accents because I think accents are fun to do. And if I can screw with somebody by doing an accent, right, then I'm going to do it because it's fun. So don't get offended. You're going to hear me do that a lot if you're new to this channel, all right? So I think what happened was we saw people in the heat of the moment, I'm reading, and we've seen it on television before, but I'm with you. I felt like I was in some other country. See, there he said it. You could have just said that. He literally just said like an entire paragraph of like 8 sentences to say that one thing right there. But it was here, and now we deal with it. Take responsibility. We claim it. And now we do our best to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. Something like that happened. It happened during, what was it? Didn't it happen? Wasn't it Obama? Was it Obama when the Capitol was stormed? It might have been Obama. It might have been during the beginning of Trump. I'm not sure. I don't actually remember, and I'm not going to dig through a bunch of things and extend this even further. Look it up. Let me know. I just don't remember off the top of my head. So if you remember when those folks stormed the Capitol? Because I did remember reading about it and seeing footage of certain activist groups storming the Capitol from a couple years ago. Remind me, put it in the comment section for me, please. So still, Garth Brooks insisted that being asked to perform this week was an honor. That's the key right there. It's an honor. Look, I get it. It's the president. But what's frustrating is that you're not addressing anything. You're not humanizing anything. You're not being a human. You're a money robot. That's how you're acting about it. You are not Garth Brooks the human. You're Garth Brooks the business making a statement. That's all you're doing, so that your business and its investors feel secure, cozy, and comfy. And Garth Brooks the human keeps tumbling forward into oblivion, losing relevance more and more as the years go on, and forgetting who he is as an individual. And Garth, if you hear this and you want to get mad at me, you can get mad at me all day. I'm not relevant, nor have I ever been relevant. Maybe I'll be relevant one day. Maybe I won't be. But because I haven't been relevant for so long, I really don't care what you have to say in return, because all I'm doing is revealing the truth about you, good or bad. Look, I like a lot of your music. I respect your work. I'm sorry that you are not an informed and intelligent individual in the realm of reality, politics, and human nature. Joe Biden's inauguration kicked off on Saturday with a concert celebrating diversity. It will include a total of days and will feature a carousel of anti-Trump Hollywood celebrities from Kerry Washington to Kal Penn, Eva Longoria, and Deborah Messing. Look, folks, they're just dancing on the corpse. That's all they're trying to do, rub it in our face. But, you know, they always overplay their hand. This isn't over, and now they get to show the world just how ridiculous they are. You've seen what Biden plans to do in the first week. He's going to crash the economy. He's going to destroy all the pipeline jobs. He's going to look into amnesty for this entire caravan of tens of thousands of immigrants coming from down south. Amnesty for 11, 12, 13 million illegal immigrants. He's trying to secure a forever Democrat dynasty. That's what's happening. So Garth, what you have to realize is that you're contributing to that by participating. And normally it wouldn't be a big deal because social media wasn't this big and words didn't spread and there was no MAGA movement. People didn't see. But now everything is haywire for the left because the right has their eyes wide open and we see behind the curtain and we see you're full of crap. And honestly, Garth, it's sad. It's sad because we really like you. But man, you're not real. You're not real. And neither are any of the other people that you're going to be pandering with. Folks, look, you're going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to get to know, and you've already been getting to know your favorite celebrities very, very intimately and well in the coming months, because censorship machine, the leftists, they're coming after all of us. It's going to ramp up. It's going to get hard for a bit. But I'm not saying that it's over. I'm not saying that, people are attacking me. They're getting so mad at me and saying that I'm a defeatist. I'm not a defeatist. I'm saying that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And a wise general, not violence, that's not what I'm talking about, YouTube and everybody else. I can't believe I have to say that, by the way, guys. I said the word general and I have to say I'm not with violence and stuff like that. I mean like a strategy general, like somebody who is concentrating on the grand vision, the looking out for the future of things, right, ladies and gentlemen? So if I'm looking strategically, if I'm looking at the future, then that means that I have to come up with creative ways to get around the censorship and the ridiculousness. I can't sit here, right? I can't sit here and I can't rely on things coming from 4chan. I can't. I'm sorry. If things start developing, I'll report them. And if things are worth speculating on, I'll bring them up. But man, you got to at least respect me to keep my ethics intact. You got to let me. You got to let me keep my ethics intact. All right? You do. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. All right, folks? But I know most of you understand that and you respect that. And I appreciate it. I really, really do. All right. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to get it out. I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of going off the rails a little bit there, but honestly, I've gotten a ton of hate in the last week from people. So many angry people on the right that just want me to trust the plan. And hey, guys, I'm not telling you want to go trust some plan, go trust some plan. But if you go and trust a plan, right, and you don't have another plan, you don't have another perception of what could be happening, and that plan blows up in your face, then what do you have? Ask yourself that question. All right. And then get back to me in a couple days. Let me know after everything's said and done. All right. When we go into this next administration. All right. And hey, who knows? Sure. Right. Sure. There's a small possibility that anything could happen. But let's just say we go into the next transition. And now what we have to get into, when you calm down from your stuff there, haters, I'm not talking to the fans, I'm talking to the haters. When you calm down from your anger at me and you want to work together, you can come back to the table and then we can all talk about how to get together and build social structures, build movies, documentaries, do art, do things that are welcoming and community building on the conservative side. Something productive. All right? We're not going to bitch and moan through this. We're not the left. We're not going to scream in the sky and go, nah, like they did when Trump got elected. We're not going to do that. We're going to reevaluate, resituate, and we're going to go forward. And we're going to keep pushing back against the left-wing ideology. That's what we do. We do it through education. We do it through media. We do it through entertainment, folks. Plain and simple. All right, guys? So I've kept you long enough. I've gone on and on and on and on. I needed to stress a couple points. I promise I'm not going to do it in the next videos. I just had a couple things on my chest I decided to get off at the end of this. Do me a favor. Sign up for the mailing list at www.americanreveille.com. That's Project Underground Railroad. That's right up there. So you can get the latest news and updates while Parler's down. Also, do me a favor. If you can donate, if you can give us a little bit so that we can keep building up our operations and fortifying ourselves against the censorship, you can go to www.americanreveille.com and do it there as well. Wherever you're watching this, give us a like, give us a review, give us a comment, share, follow us, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Thank you.